mix.
GeoGearHeads.
Well, I'm the bad cop, back with Daryl W4 for our first episode of 2013, and, more importantly, our first episode without the beta tag. So, Daryl, I guess this puts us in gamma mode, right?
Yeah, something like that. I wasn't really sure what we should be calling it, but, we're out of beta. That's all we need to say. We have a good show for you tonight with JJBarretts2, talking about his caches and what makes them so unique and special and why people like those so much. But next week we're doing another one of those randomized shows, which we really have a lot of fun with those, in particular because our listeners send us so many great comments, so much great feedback. We really do love getting all of that, but in order to do that, you have to call our voicemail line at 206-350-3647, and that's to leave us a voicemail by phone. But you can also email us at geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com. Either text or, even better yet, is to send us an email with an attachment of an audio file. We love getting those because they sound great. And yeah, it's just so much better when we can hear the questions and comments in our listeners' voices.
Exactly. And you guys make the show. Daryl and I can sit here and talk about geocaching and Munsies till the cows come home, but we want your topics. That's what makes the show exciting. Talking about things that we don't necessarily know that much about because you've brought the topic up.
Yeah, well, and you can always do something short through social media, and that's the best way probably to interact with us on a more limited basis. And we get a lot of that through Google Plus, especially. Google Plus is great for the threading, and you can comment on the show's posts and that kind of stuff. And we do always record these live through the Google Plus Hangouts on Air, which is a great way to see these because you get to watch them live. You can watch them on YouTube after the fact, but you can watch them live and chat with some of the people on the notes underneath the chat window or underneath the live feed. So it's pretty cool to jump on Google Plus and watch it that way. But we did get some feedback on our Dropbox episode. So Bad Cop, why don't you read that one?
Sure. The Winter Trio wrote us via email. I just listened to the Dropbox episode and thought I might share one of the specific things that I do. In addition to the GPX and POI files, I use Google Drive to transfer KML, those are Google Earth files, from my laptop to my iPhone and iPad. I use a GSAC macro to create KML files for all the polygon-based challenges nearby, county, Thomas Guide, Delorum challenges, etc. Once they're on my iPad or iPhone, I can open them in the Google Earth app and see all the polygon borders for each of those challenges. This allows me to see if I'm in a square or close to a square I need for a challenge. And that is a great idea because, when I'm out caching, I like to be able to get, the Thomas Guide pages or, even Delorum challenge. And I just never know where exactly I have to go. I have a list of cities, I need to visit this, this, and this, but I could be miles away from one of those cities and still grab one of those squares that I need.
Yeah, the more information you can actually carry with you in the field, the better you really are. And this is a great way to do that and to keep it live. If you do have that live data connection to your phone or your iPad, you don't have to worry about preloading so much. Just keep those files up to date from the computer and you're ready to rock whenever you need to.
Exactly.
Well, why don't we bring in our guest for the evening, which was recommended by one of our wonderful listeners, JJBarretts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we get into your caches and such, why don't you give us a little bit of history about the JJBarretts2 team, because I understand that the caches aren't placed just by yourself.
I got into geocaching back in May of 2011. Yes. And my sister-in-law actually introduced me to geocaching. She said she and a bunch of her friends will go around using their smartphones and GPS units to find objects that are stashed sometimes within plain sight. She started talking about muggles, and I'm thinking, what's this Harry Potter stuff that she's talking about? But I pulled it up on my iPhone. My daughter and I both, we kind of looked at it, realized that just down the road there were a couple of geocaches. Went out to check them out, and next thing you know, it bit me hard. It bit us both hard, my daughter and I, and the rest, I guess, is history. You know, she's, I guess, my original geocaching partner. She's about the only one in the family that I can get actively out with me anytime and every time I want to go. So we've teamed up, and you know, she's a very creative artist. She's very talented. She's got just tremendous skill, and just kind of with our two minds, we've just kind of, we'll feed off of each other. We'll bounce ideas back and forth, and one thing leads to another, and thus is the birth of a new cache.
Excellent. So you do have a few different series of caches that you've placed so far. Why don't you start off with one that might be a little bit easier, and tell us why it is that people like that, and then kind of lead into how it is that you came up with the concept.
Well, my original series of caches are the Lit Bar series. It's the first three names, or excuse me, the first three letters of my daughter's last name and the first three letters of my last name. And we just kind of crunched them together, combined them, and then we tagged them as 1 through 10. And then we kind of also put an alias to them based on the area, the site, the location that the geocache was placed into. The hides originally started out fairly simple. The very first hide, which unfortunately is now archived, was at the end of a biking trail placed underneath a tree. They progressed into small matchstick containers that we would camo tape up, magnetic key holders, got a lamppost skirt in there. And then as we got to about midway through the series, I decided that I wanted to change it up a little bit. And so we put together a puzzle cache, which, being from Kansas City area, being a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, don't laugh.
I held it together until you said that.
I appreciate it. But being a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I put together a puzzle cache where basically you just take the numbers associated with the players, do some simple arithmetic, and brings you out the coordinates to the geocache. After that, started getting a little more difficult as far as the highs. I guess we were kind of getting bored with just the guardrail cache, the lamppost skirt. So we started becoming a little more devious in our hides. Smaller containers in heavily wooded areas. And that just kind of escalated all the way up to Red Bar 10, which wound up being the final geocache in the series. It wound up being a 5-part geocache. Shortly before the geocache was released, I was trying to come up with something meaningful, something symbolic, something that really held meaning to kind of wrap up the whole series for us. It was in September that we lost my grandmother. And shortly thereafter, I decided I wanted to put out a tribute cache to her and to my grandfather. And without really having anything except, okay, I want to make it a multi-cache. So I made it a multi-cache. And without really having any set locations, I knew a park I wanted to place it into, but I had never scouted it out beforehand. and I just kind of randomly took a walk, started finding back trails in this particular park, areas where, okay, this would be a good spot for a geocache. And then after I got home, after placing the different stages and started crunching the numbers, putting everything together, mocking up distances, oddly enough, small coincidences between the different, like the walking distance of the geocache, wound up coincidentally being the 2.3 miles. My grandparents, between my grandfather's death and my grandmother's death, was 23 years. Just little coincidences started presenting themselves between my grandparents, their relationship, their marriage, their life, and this symbolic geocache. And it's really took on a life of its own, and became my favorite geocache, and one that's very near and dear to me. So not a whole lot of finders have gone out for it, but it does maintain about a 70% plus favorite rating among premium geocachers, and so that's I love the feedback. I've had a few people, they've had a few issues as far as locating the different stages, and I'm always willing to help. Drop me an email, hit me up through the cache page, whatever the case may be. And everybody that's gone through it has spoken really highly of it, and it's greatly appreciated. I love the feedback. I think if we probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of positive feedback, probably would have stopped placing caches. But it just seems like the meaner that I make my caches, the more difficult, the more tricks and hoops that I include. The feedback just is becoming better and better, and it's really driving me to create a better cache on the next one than the previous one. So that's kind of just what spawned. Once we completed the Lead Bar series, my daughter had moved out to California with her husband, and I was kind of left there. I started placing a few caches that were just, the next cache actually that I had placed was on my brother's birthday. I wanted to do something special to kind of honor him, and I put it together a creation, dropped it out into the wild, got it published, and that's actually one of Kansas City's top 20 favorited traditional geocaches. So real proud of that one as well. And then, like I said, just kind of from there, it's a challenge to create something more interesting with a little different twist to it. I know I love finding those kinds of hides when I'm out on the road traveling, and so I try to bring some stuff that I see out on the road, different concepts, different ideas, twist them up a little bit, change them up, make them my own, and then throw them out there for everybody else to enjoy.
Nice. And those caches that you've put a lot of effort into, it really shows when you go to find it. That a 5-part multi is not an easy cache to come up with, to develop. And so
yeah, and I appreciate that. And it was hard to know what was going to be too much. I don't want to put stuff out there that nobody's going to find. I mean, that's not the point of geocaching. I mean, the point of geocaching is to go out and find the geocache. So that's what I've tried to do. I've always tried to make myself available so that if you do, or maybe not available, but definitely reply to comments, questions, that random email that you get to help me. I've been out to the location 3 times and I need some help. Not a problem, man. So one thing I've learned about geocaching and the community of geocachers is that it doesn't matter your lifestyle. It doesn't matter who you are professionally, who you are religiously. You're a geocacher, and greatest group of people I've ever met. Not judgmental. Everybody's just out to find Tupperware in the woods.
Yeah, geocaching really does cross political, religious, even racial boundaries very nicely.
Yes, it absolutely does. And Kansas City has a very almost family-oriented group. We've got our little Facebook kind of group that everybody chats, everybody talks, and then we do monthly events, kind of like a lot of different areas do. And they're very supportive. A lot of great feedback, a lot of great local geocache hiders, and so it's great to be able to travel, see a lot of different varieties, see the different styles of geocache hides that are out there, and then the opportunity to come back home and kind of share some of that stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that we probably neglected to mention at the open of this interview was that you are from the Kansas City area, and a number of the comments coming in from our listeners seem to be Kansas City has some great caches, and you were one of the folks out there doing a good job with your caches.
And that's very flattering to hear, kind of being so new to the sport of geocaching. Just having been in it for, a year and a half now, just over a year and a half, and to have that kind of feedback, it really means a lot to me. And it's I was honored for the mention by the local cacher who suggested me to speak with you guys, and I'm honored to be speaking with you guys and for the opportunity to do so. It's geocaching bit me hard, bit me deep, and still has a firm grasp in my buttocks. And I don't see it releasing anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I've got I've probably got 20 or so unfinished containers in the works that I know my wife is ready for me to get out of the house, but I've kind of got ADD in the sense that I'll start on a geocache, work about halfway through it, and then I get another idea, totally something off the wall, and I'll bounce over and I'll start on another geocache container.
Well, that could be the sign of a lot of good creativity, though. And you do have 31 hides, which is a lot more than I think most people have in their first year and a half. I probably don't think most people have anywhere close to that number of hides in 2 years. So that's a really impressive number. But even more impressive is that you were able to do such quality hides in that kind of quantity in such a short time.
Exactly.
And again, it's got a lot to do with I don't want to say that I'm getting sympathy favorite points. I want to find good finds when I'm out geocaching, and so I kind of bring that mentality into the geocaches that I create. I want people to want to find these geocaches. So little tricks, little odds, little ends, little in and outs. I definitely try to mix things up. I guess the second series that I put together was based off of a Canadian kind of spoof comedy type show. The series is called Trailer Park Boys. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that series, but it's.
I haven't heard of that one.
it's an offbeat kind of comedy. It's I guess a B series. It is available through the like the Netflix, the Hulu, and all that. You can watch it on there. It's a pretty raunchy comedy. I've got to warn you and the listeners that you do not want to let your children under the age of 17 watch the series, simply because of the lewd and crude humor and just some of the content. However, the characters are absolutely hilarious. If you like Animal House, you would like this series. Nothing else really comes to mind, but the geocaches themselves are based off some of the characters. All of the geocache hides, the placements, and the content on geocaching website is very family friendly. There's no adult content, nothing that would shy you away from the cache. I simply kind of took some of the characteristics of each the film characters and incorporated it into the different geocaches. I was able to put together my first night cache, which I had a blast with, and quite a unique container came of the final container. And again, that was it's a series of 5 geocaches. And I have a lot of good feedback from it, and everybody that's been out to check them out and to dive into them have really enjoyed them, and that's what drives me to continue to create interesting and unique geocaches.
Nice. Now, we are getting comments as you're talking here on the Google Plus page, and there's one comment that says, what he means by difficult is they're getting as mean as heck. So when you say you're making them a little more difficult, other cachers aren't quite taking it as just difficult.
Well, they're mean, but one thing I've come to find out about geocachers in the Kansas City area especially is they love mean geocaches. For those that are listening and who maybe have an eye on my latest geocache, I would have to say that this one is a little more mean and devious, if you will, than any of the others. It's a 4-stage geocache. All in all, from the time you leave your car till you get back, it's going to be about 3 miles of walking.
That's nice.
Stage 1 is a field puzzle, and you have to actually figure out the coordinates by determining what these particular characters are that you find within the container. Stage 2 is a Caesar type cipher. Now, if you're familiar with the Caesar code or the Caesar cipher, am I saying that correctly? The Baconian cipher, I think, or no? Excuse me. It's the Civil War cipher. Pigpen cipher. If you're familiar with the Pigpen cipher, there's 3 versions to it. Now, out in the field, you figure out just by the figures or the symbols that it's a Pigpen cipher, but which one is it? I'll go ahead and I'll give everybody a spoiler. It's the more obscure, unused Pigpen cipher of the 3 types that you normally see. After that, stage 3 is a code, QR code. Basic, very simple. And that QR code gives you a heading and a distance to travel. The final container I actually put together as a temporary container for a Halloween event, and I was not totally happy with the layout of the geocache at the Halloween event, so I took it down since it was just temporary, and I stretched it out, added some more evilness and nastiness to it, and replaced it.
Nice.
One of the things that kind of struck me when you were giving a general description of the caches that you've hidden is it sounds like not only are you putting effort into the containers, the method of the hide, and that kind of thing, but also to the location. So you have that combination of a great location as well as the great cache.
Yeah. I try to find places that are a little more off the beaten path. Places that are, on the outskirts a little bit, draw people into this particular area, and just kind of let them run with it. And it's been successful. I'm drawing people out of the north side of Kansas City. I'm drawing people from the south side of Kansas City, bringing them all over to the east side, and because we've got a pretty large group, and it seems like a lot of the group, we're Kansas City is a large metropolis. We're spread out. We don't grow up, we grow out when we want to build. So, you bring all these people in. We've got a large amount of geocaches in the heart of the city, north of the river, on the Kansas side of Kansas City, and we've actually been kind of light as far as when you come out a little east and you go further east of the city. So, I want to get area geocachers that live out on the east side to start putting some stuff together and bring everybody from the west side of town, the south side of town, the north side of town, and show them some of these obscure locations, these small parks, these little nature centers and conservation areas that you wouldn't normally even go to, just because they are kind of small, out of the way, and obscure.
I love that idea of, that's one of the reasons I geocache, is to find unique places that I would never have found on my own. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir. And it's been a blast. I think I've gotten to the point where I almost enjoy creating geocaches or coming up with geocache ideas more so than I enjoy going out and finding geocaches. So if I didn't travel as much as I did, I'd probably have more than 30 caches out right now. I've got one that I've actually been working on for, just about a year now. It's over 7 foot tall. The container itself, it's over 7 foot tall. It's probably 4 feet one way, 3.5 another way. It's a collection of birdhouses. And by the time, if I can ever quit adding to it, it'll probably end up having about 30 different hiding containers within itself. I've got a couple of, originally it was going to go out into the middle of the woods in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. This thing weighs over 100 pounds. It's just huge. I do have a couple of nature centers that have offered to house it indoors, so it would be an indoor nature center that, of course, so it would be subject to their hours and availability. Mm-hmm. But I can't quit adding to it. And
that's a sign of a true artist.
Yeah. My daughter says I've overdone it. I've taken too many good ideas and tried to incorporate them all into one massive geo monster. Mm-hmm. And it's found its way to my back burner because, again, my ADD has kicked in, and I come up with these other concepts and containers, and it's like, ooh, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do that now. So I'm all over the place. Just to kind of get some feedback on this particular birdhouse combo, I took it to a Kansas City area picnic. We have an annual picnic, middle August every year. I took it out there just to kind of get some feedback, to see if this would be something everybody enjoyed. Everybody thought it was, very neat. I wouldn't let anybody touch it. You could look, but you couldn't touch.
Okay.
I didn't want to give away any of the secrets. I didn't want people to see, okay, well, this opens and that opens, and you pull on this and you tug on that and you push here. So there's kind of a look but don't touch reveal, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I know a lot of people were excited to see it,
Mm-hmm.
but I just can't keep my grubby little hands off of it and quit adding to it.
Now, do the nature centers that you're proposing to put this in know it's a geocache container, and they're okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
I put the whole concept out there to them. I actually sent them some images and said that if you are available, this is the concept. Each center that I presented it to are very familiar with geocaching, and each center has geocaches within the property. Everything is outside. And the only actual concern that they had was that it would only be available during their operating hours.
Right.
And would that be a problem for me? And I said, absolutely not. I've done quite a few geocaches that are only available during certain hours. And
Exactly.
people go to, they find a way. If they're, people want to see it, they'll go see it. They'll find a way. Skip work, take a vacation day, whatever the case may be. So, like I said, I think I've got some very excited cachers anticipating the release of that geocache. I've got some places that are willing to house the geocache. I can't get the geocache.
Well, we just had our New Year, so it's time to make a New Year's resolution, pick a date, and put the geocache out.
Absolutely. I've been thinking of that. I think I'm going to attempt to release that geocache whenever we have our 2013 Kansas City area geocaching picnic. To me, that's still, it'll be the middle of August, so that still allows me some time to fine-tune the geocache and finish it up. Figure out how I want people to kind of crack into it and approach and do all these different things that I've kind of put on it. And so I think it's reasonable, and I think it's doable. And I'm charging my daughter with the responsibility to help me get that done.
Well, one listener, Doug Hawley, NKC, is saying, there should be a special bonus for watching this video right now, getting an inside secret into this geocache. And he's disappointed that the picnic is 8 months away.
That's Admiral Doug for you. Doug is another excellent Kansas City area geocacher. He kind of helped to spark my my interest in creating more geocaches. After seeing a few of the Red Bar series, he approached me to join in on this venture that he was trying to put together for the Kansas City area. And the venture was creating several geocache containers as part of the Kansas City Battleship series. So we've got a very large Kansas City Battleship series out there that has had nothing but great feedback from everybody that's come and done it. We get visitors from out of town that come in. You guys are familiar with how Battleship works. A4, you spank my battleship and whatnot. So we've got a grid over the Kansas City area. Each quadrant of the grid has a geocache in it, and you must find the particular geocaches, and you'll either find a miss or a hit in each container. The geocaches that have a hit inside of it will have a partial coordinate. Then to either the battleship, the destroyer, the carrier, the submarine. Once you have found each of those containers, it takes you on to the grand finale, if you will, of the Battleship series, which is I think my caches are difficult. This geocache is very difficult. I haven't attempted it yet. Being part of the Battleship series, I'm sorry to say that I only have about 75% of the geocaches found. But I think there's 107 total in that series, from the traditional geocaches, which are the originally placed geocaches, and then you've got the ships, and then the grand finale. It's been a very highly favorited series in the Kansas City area. There's got to be at least 20 geocache owners who are all great people, great geocache hiders, who are participating and helping to maintain the geocaches for this series. And it's been really exciting too. And again, I was honored to have been asked, still being so new to the game, to participate and being a part of the Kansas City Battleship series.
Nice. And if you don't know, the Battleship game is a 10 by 10 grid, so that's 100 geocaches to put in a grid over a city area, and that alone amazes me. I'm hearing there's other Battleship series in different cities as well, so this is a neat concept.
Yeah, there's I've run across a few. I believe up in Michigan, there's a Battleship series. That series actually kind of just strings out over a long highway, almost kind of like a power trail. But I understand there are several other cities that do have the grid style, the 10 by 10 setup as we do, and that's where we got our idea to do that.
Well, we've got a lot of great information here, and we like to give our listeners and viewers something to do, some kind of actionable item. And aside from enticing everyone to go down to Kansas City and hit your wonderful caches and your other wonderful hides in the area that aren't yours, do you have something that you could share with people who are looking to really bring up their game as far as the caches that they're placing?
Do what my daughter put it to me the other day. What would you like to do when you go out to find a geocache? What would intrigue you? What would you like to see in a geocache hide? I've started to put together a group of geocaches, not only that I have placed, not only that I have found, but unique containers that I stumble across. I mean, the internet is a huge place. Geocaching is worldwide. There's no way you can see everything. But I've tried to put together a Facebook page. It's called Cool Geocache Creations. And I'm just putting together just kind of a montage of different cache containers for people to check out, spark their ideas. It's open for comment. It's open to discuss, get feedback from other cache hiders. And, I know there's a lot of different sites out there, but like I said, I try to, I would, what do you want to find?
Mm-hmm.
What's unique? What makes you want to go out for a geocache? So.
Absolutely. That's one of those things that one of the great hiders in our area had always said is, hide what you like to find.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be able to get that Facebook link in the show notes for this episode, and of course we'll link to your profile as well, so if people want to find out more about you, they can go there.
Absolutely. That'd be great. Again, guys, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the time you've allowed me to speak tonight.
Oh, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sure so many people are really excited to get down there and check out that event and some of those caches.
Absolutely. Kansas City in its own right is a great place. The people are friendly. The food is good. Our sports teams could use a little help, but we'll work on that. But no, it's a great place to live. If you like the extreme cold or you like the extreme hot, you like Kansas City. Wait till tomorrow. The weather changes.
That is so true in the Midwest. Now, one of the things I'm excited about in this upcoming year is the 2013 GeoGearHeads Worldwide Travel Bug Race. We're still working out the details on that, so get your travel bugs all tuned up and get them ready to go, because we're going to have a travel bug race this year. And we're working with the developer at tbrun.com, so look for more details in upcoming episodes.
And check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We'd love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by calling 206-350-3647, by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com, or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider making a PayPal donation through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. This show is copyright 2013 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.